Welcome to Taco Shot. We're looking at anime. I'm Shane.
I am Scott.
I'm Mike. Hey, do I get a producer credit on this? Since this is mostly my equipment.
Of course you do.
Okay, cool.
Shane, you can take care of that, right?
So we have our producer.
Hi, I'm the producer, Mike.
So if you guys didn't know, the person who has pretty much provided our equipment to us is Mike here, my friend.
We have Mike's mics.
We have Mike's mics.
Yeah, if you guys, this is also the sponsor for the podcast, Mike's Mics. If you need a microphone, talk to Mike's Mics.
Talk to Mike's mics about your mics. I hate that so much.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So what do you guys do here? You guys get this equipment and you do what?
We record shit. That's it.
Yeah, we mostly talk about things that I almost said don't matter, but they very much do matter. Anime matters
They matter
much more than my life.
They matter to me, but they don't matter to most people.
This is an anime podcast.
Yeah, we've tricked you.
I've done something bad in the world.
I think it's funny that Mike gave us his mics not knowing what he was doing.
Yeah, just I was like, yeah, sure, Shane, have at it. Do God's work.
I'm doing God's work here.
Spreading the word of anime as if it needs it.
It does not need it. Nothing needs it. Okay. But hello everybody. This is a Taco Shot. Scott, do you have a can? Do we all have cans here?
I have a can.
Normally what we do when it comes to this is, Mike, you don't know this, but we normally do a cheers.
Oh, okay.
Cheers, everybody.
Atakimasu.
Yeah, now it's just kind of a silent clank of metal cans.
Yeah, there's really nothing to do a clank on.
Just imagine the nice, crisp clink of glasses.
In your mind's eye.
Yeah.
Three men
You
come
can picture
together.
it. We believe in you.
Three men come together
To discuss. Come together.
I don't want this to be a show about three men coming together.
I
It's
really
the
don't want
new
it to be.
2.5 men. It's 3.5 men.
3.5 men, but coming.
Please stop. We are.
Okay. Well,
welcome to a time
And
where it's nothing but
introducing our-
liquor and coming.
Introducing our fourth member. I forgot his name. Sheen.
Sheen.
Charlie Sheen here to talk about anime.
I don't want Charlie Sheen to talk about anime.
He's really into Lucky Star.
Oh. Okay. Well, everybody. Tonight, since we have Mike joining us, normally we would talk about just what we're watching, possibly other topics that would go along with that, but we just kind of want to answer questions that I've gotten through Tumblr and our Discord, and kind of gotta see, Mike, what is your anime experience?
So I kind of. All right. So real talk, especially because I got that Kraken under me. Man, you guys go hard before you start recording.
Oh, you're right.
My experience with anime is very much so like Toonami. You know, like racing home from school and like seeing what's unavailable. You know, the American dubbed version of it, and watching a lot of that. And I've a lot of like I would say like late 90s, early aughts anime. You got like Yu Yu Hakusho.
I knew you were going to say
Yu Yu
that.
Hakusho.
Gundam Wing, Gundam SD when that was a thing. Jesus Christ.
Were you into Gundam a lot?
I was a big Gundam guy. I love Gundam Zero. I probably have drawings of Gundams somewhere buried in my house.
No shit. I think it's
Yeah.
funny because out of all the things that we ever talk about here, me and Scott never talk about anything Gundam related.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really seen anything Gundam related.
Well,
if I'm
Gundam
being
would
for
just
real.
be Gundam would just be. I mean, nothing. The actual series of Gundam, but in terms of what's
just
going
like
on,
some
Mecha.
big mech boys.
Yeah, Mecha
Like
Boys. You watched that?
Political
I mean,
government.
I've seen like Eureka 7, Darling in the Franxx. Like,
Darling in the Franxx is not a good example of this, but
I
yes,
mean, those are some. There are some mechs, but some weird mechs.
I will say this: Gundam is in a sad shape these days. I tried to watch I don't know if it's a reboot, but the newer Gundam stuff, and it just I bounced right off of it.
I've heard that new Gundam is apparently good to people who are into Gundam.
Oh, I mean, maybe I just need to give it more time to like get its hooks in me. But when I watched maybe the first 4 or 5, maybe 6 episodes of it, and like the political stuff of it is just like so not. It's just not a thing. I don't know.
That's
it's
fair.
You get a lot of stuff that's like, we have waged war for hundreds of years, and it's just like no one understands what 100 years is. Like, if you said 10 years, I'd be like, damn, that's a long time. But 100 years, I'm dead before that fucker's over. But a lot of Inuyasha. I've watched a lot of Inuyasha.
It's weird. I've never really thought about that. I also have watched a ton of Inuyasha, but I've never really like expressed that as something I've watched as anime.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, my whole thing with Inuyasha is that it was one of the shows that even from a very young age I would watch all the time, and it's something that sparked my interest in anime in the first place, but I could not tell you really a coherent storyline of it. Like, yeah, I kind of just vaguely would catch episodes.
So they had this orb, and the orb shattered, and they had to get the gems, and Inuyasha had the Tessaiga. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's so much of it's lost in the annals of time, but
it's weird. It's typically about somebody who, so there's the character Inuyasha,
the titular character, if you will.
And apparently there's a person who looks like the person Inuyasha, and that's kind of how the series goes.
I'm sorry not to get all like anime nerd on you, but you're talking about Kagome, and you're talking about the priestess that Inuyasha was like deep into, and Kagome looks like the priestess.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing, is that but essentially there's somebody who looks like somebody. That was the confusion of the whole entire series. That's how it goes.
Yeah. And then I in middle school romance, I had a person I was really close to that we would call each other every night, and we would watch Case Closed together, and we would try to guess like, who the murderer was.
Oh, hell yeah.
And that was maybe the highlight of my anime career, but like these days it's much more so like One Punch Man. I mean, which is getting its new season. These days, as in an anime that is 2+ years old.
Mike, I think it's funny because the first thing I was ever going to mention anything at all was One Punch Man for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, you should watch Mob Psycho.
I have watched the first couple episodes of Mob Psycho.
You suck.
I have a hard time.
How do you watch the first few episodes and not finish the whole goddamn series?
I have a hard time finishing it, not just anime, but like video games in general. Like I'm like 2 seasons deep into Haikyuu, and like it gets so much better, but like I'm also like I have a hard time finishing it.
I think it's funny that you bring that up because a big struggle in this podcast originally when we first started was that Scott had the last season of Haikyuu to finish, which was 10 episodes. And
it took me so long. Like, after season 2, I took like 4 months until I picked up the last season. Yeah,
exactly. I hated it so much just because I had so much to talk about, and then you were like,
I'll get to it.
I'll get to it later, but it's okay.
That's always the struggle with anime, though, is that there's always more to watch. So anything that gets put on the to watch list automatically is not going to get finished.
Not to jump into like, because I kind of like know what kind of questions you have lined up, but can we jump into one?
Okay,
yeah, let's do it.
So we're gonna jump into the beginning. The way I kind of had it set up was that the people who actually had genuine questions and answers, as well as my own questions that I wanted to talk about.
What do you mean by genuine? Did you have people that are like, if Naruto who had a fight, who would win?
The people who had asked me questions, as opposed to me talking about my own things that I want to talk about, win over that essentially. So the people who had asked me questions personally, I will answer first, and then I will talk about my own questions. The first question that comes from Tumblr user Chibiru. Question for your podcast: does popular anime necessarily mean good anime?
Oh, I was thinking about the other one, but we can answer like like
this is going in order.
Okay, cool. What do you guys? So what is popular these days? What's I mean, big?
Sword Art.
Sword Art. Oh boy.
Of course,
I've got thoughts about Sword Art.
Yeah.
Like, the thing about popular anime is that I'll say this. So, like, explaining like
it's got a baller soundtrack. I'll fucking jam to that every day.
It depends the anime you're talking about, but for the most part, what I've seen these days that has been currently airing, and I guess what you would define as popular, it depends the anime, I guess. For example, right now, you don't know about this at all. You know about that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
Yes. Okay. I thought you were talking about you yourself, Shane, the person
no.
got reincarnated as a slime.
Yeah, that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
I mean, it's every fantasy I've ever had.
You all know about it. But so me and Scott.
What kind of slime would you be, Shane? Let's get into this. I think you'd be kind of like a yellow electric slime, like Legends of the Chew slime.
I think I'd be an aroused slime.
A route? I don't know what this is. This is like a slime that makes you kind of horny.
No, I think it's the brand aroused from.
Oh,
I did not know there were different varieties of slime. I just have always pictured a slime as being a...
I'm just making work jokes essentially.
Okay.
But so
God damn it.
So for example, so he knows about that time I got reincarnated as a slime, as well as right now the other popular thing that's airing is last season was Goblin Slayer was a big thing.
yeah. I've seen like Goblin Slayer on
This
Tumblr.
season right now is definitely Shield Hero.
How do these things come to be so popular? Is it just like, hey, this gotta, because like I feel like another popular anime was like the Dragon Maiden one.
See, you're talking about oh God, what is that called?
Dragon Maid, like just Dragon Maid.
Dragon Maid. Dragon Maid was a very popular one. Dragon Maid was definitely.
I enjoyed it.
Dragon Maid was definitely an anime that was popular. That was, I feel like for the most part, meant to be popular.
Okay.
Like not necessarily meant to be popular, but like from what I've experienced from anime, that was a good anime.
But what is there like a? I guess there's not like a formula for it, but is it just like, hey, this just works? The art's there, the story's there, the voices are there, and it all comes together to this one package, and people just take it and run with it. Is that kind of what it is, or
kind of? So what I've noticed lately is that the things that tend to be most popular among people who watch anime is the kind of reincarnated or died and went to another world type aspect.
Yeah, like some classic isekai
Yeah,
shit.
transported to another world. And so you'll say, have you ever heard of ReZero?
yes.
So ReZero is a prime example of that. Back in 2006.
You do excuse me, do you mean
Yes.
Re:0?
Yes,
ZERO?
exactly.
Okay. I'm glad we could get that straightened out.
I'm glad. Okay. So essentially there's that one. Shield Hero is one. That time I got reincarnated as a slime was one. They're all anime where they were essentially shown an anime where it was about somebody who had been transferred to another world.
Heavy fantasy vibe too.
Yeah, it's the fantasy vibe that's the most popular from what I've seen, or stuff that's just from Shonen Jump.
Does sci-fi just not hang as well?
It kind of depends what you're doing. So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
So, for example, the stuff that was popular last season that is done now that me and Scott had watched was the most popular being The Promised Neverland. The Promised Neverland was it.
Still have not finished that, by the way.
You need to finish that, by the way. That was a good goddamn ending.
I'll get to it.
So essentially, The Promised Neverland is an anime that's new to Shonen Jump, which Shonen Jump is the people who make Naruto,
Sure.
Bleach.
They got Dragon Ball on that, right?
I think so. I can't
they're
remember
part of
what's-
the fighting game, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Jump Force.
Yeah, Jump Force. So that's kind of the whole goal, was that like stuff that's currently airing is typically, I guess from what I'm imagining, a lot of shonen.
If you got an orange protagonist, Shonen Jump wants your dick.
Oh, Shonen Jump wants your dick.
Hamtaro, watch out.
Fucking Hamtaro.
Yeah, Hamtaro is a classic example of a shonen kind of trope, right?
I would say so. Yes.
Yeah, like, do you remember when Hamtaro learned?
I don't remember enough about Hamtaro.
Saga?
I'm surprised I even know the name at all.
Hamtaro learned the Rasengan and use it against those rats.
Oh, you know, I think I remember that.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
So fuck you.
Rasengan!
So fuck you both. So
Maybe later.
What I'm going to say here is that so back to this actual podcast.
About Hamtaro.
I love that Mike has had this element of
Chaos.
chaos for sure. But so The Promised Neverland was an anime that was It aired last season that was a bit more serious, but it's in the category of the same with the Shonen Family, which Shonen Family intrudes so Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, and Dragon Ball Z, and it was strange because it was obviously I'm not very into Dragon Ball Z, One Piece. I'm into Naruto, a little bit of Bleach, not really. But it was weird for it to enter the Shonen Family just because it had a very good plot of what was going on, but it's so new and so I guess relevant to its time that it was a weird transition to have that I guess popularity sprung on it and it being shonen that everybody popped onto it immediately.
Yeah, I would not have expected that Promised Neverland was shonen. It doesn't really follow the same tropes as some of the other like
It's
shonen
also weird.
anime that are made.
It's also weird because Mike not being somebody who watches a ton of anime, like Mike, what do you define as a trope to you?
As far as like anime tropes?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter what I define as a trope because it's just like what is a constant, I guess. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to the layman who doesn't watch a lot of anime, but like, I mean, shonen trope. I mean, that is a trope, right? Where it's just like protagonist who gets stronger throughout. Like starts weak, grows stronger. Like isn't
Yeah,
that the
that's
general
definitely
term?
a trope, but it's strange because at this point in time, the shonen trope of people getting stronger and whatnot, and has coincided with what I would talk about with getting transferred to another world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think both those tropes like are something that we're gonna have to touch on a little bit later for one of the other questions of why anime is often considered like almost its own genre in and of itself.
I'll say this in the end is that we've gotten really off topic from the original question.
Yeah. So the
Have
question
we?
was, what?
Like does popularity essentially mean good?
Oh, of course
And,
not.
Oh, yeah.
No, definitely not.
You have a Attack on Titan poster I'm looking at, and I know that's popular, at least in my circle of people I've hang out, and I couldn't give a fuck about Attack on Titan.
But Attack on Titan is so good.
It's like, I'm sure, but it also gives this like very nationalistic vibe to it, and I
That's
don't know.
kind of the whole point of it.
Yeah, and I can't co-sign on that without knowing more about it.
I think it's the fact that like I feel like like the idea of what's good is very biased.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
subjective.
mean, I think what is good is up to the viewer, and it's up to the individual person to decide if I think you should use things that are popular as recommendations, check them out, and if they don't go with like kind of what you're into, then kick it to the curb. It's like it's all about personal preference.
Like,
in my view.
This has nothing to do with Mike, but recently me and you have talked about. So Scott, I texted you about this like literally last night. You never responded to it, and I wanted to talk about this at some point during the podcast.
Okay, what is it?
So, didn't you say that you did not like that time I got not that time I got like is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
No, I thought that one was fine. I mean,
I thought you said you were like okay with it.
yeah, it wasn't anything special, but it filled the void of needing anime.
It's once again those like I got not reincarnated, but it's like a fantasy world where RPG elements existed, and
Yeah, like leveling
where they
up
like literally
and-
talk about like mana.
Yeah,
like kind
exactly.
of that's the kind of goal of it. But essentially the main character has an ability that makes him level up faster than other people, and
yeah, it pretty much just explains why he's able to be OP, and it's totally cool.
you know what a harem is, right?
I know what a harem is, Shane. Yeah, Shane. Yeah.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. But yeah, it's very much a harem. It's like not like it's cool because I really liked it because I'll say this. I messaged you about this because it's one of the few things that's fantasy realm that I truly enjoyed. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
I actually really enjoyed it.
Huh.
I actually think it was really, really good.
I mean, I had a good time watching it. I just didn't think it was like it didn't stand out in any way.
I think it stood out in a way that was pretty good actually to me.
Huh.
But Mike.
I was just gonna say, like, I think popularity can help an anime definitely, like, and make it be good. You know, even if it has faults. Not that anything comes to mind in a strong sense, but like Naruto definitely has a huge popularity, and it's got its
for
own
sure.
faults.
Yeah.
I mean, it's plagued with like a lot of filler, but like there's a ton of like really cool and important moments in Naruto that you know, this is not really answering the questions. I'm totally off base, but like
yes.
but like what am I trying to say? Like I think that there's nothing wrong with good I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
Once again, I think it's very biased and
Yeah.
it's very subjective. Where like my own example of like I personally don't find this to be very okay. Here's a good example that we talked about earlier: Darling in the Franxx. So. Darling in the Franxx, Mike doesn't know this, but
I know it.
Do you know
I
it a
have-
little bit? You've been on Tumblr enough
So
to know probably what it
I
is.
would describe myself as that. You know, in the show Adventure Time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The
Oh, yeah.
fox that has a loose understanding of all things.
Yep.
That's pretty much me. I know what that is. It's the girl with like the little headband with the horns on it, and she says "darling" a lot, right? And then I guess like the male protag eventually gets horns or some shit. I don't know.
Okay, so you have
Okay, good. Explain it for
so
cool. We're
And
gonna
also
figure
they
this shit
turn
out.
into
We're
a
gonna-
big giant spaceship, and it's like a whole thing. There are aliens.
I'm gonna
Just
strap
crazy.
the fuck in. I'm gonna learn a lot
Yeah.
about anime today.
So-
I think strap on is what you mean.
Strap on.
You get a strap on.
Anime strap on.
Anime strap on. So you both have a very vague. Obviously, you watched it. You have Mike. You have a vague understanding about little things that we know about. And
Is it like a mecha anime?
Yes, it's mecha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's like Genji get in the fucking.
And also lots of doggy style. There's some doggy style in there.
That's like legit how the way they sit in the mechs.
Oh, okay, really?
Like there needs to be a woman sitting in front that's like on doggy style.
Oh,
in front.
anime so horny.
Like I wish I was kidding about doggy style, but it's for real.
All right.
It's very true. But anyway,
It's just like Gundam Wing.
essentially though.
Essentially, no. Yeah.
But so the way Darling works. So the way Darling works essentially is that like that's I mean not the way Darling works, but the way that I'm going in this topic is that Darling was an anime back in I guess that was 2018. That I guess in the beginning of 2018 that was very popular, and it got a lot of pickup just because everybody was hyped about it, and
Really weird. I see. It's strange for me because me coming as like a layman of a lot of anime, it has like a cute aesthetic. Like I really like how it looks, and I think like the voice actors do it. From what I understand, that the female protag is like she says "darling" in a very like cutesy way.
Darling.
Yeah, exactly. And like I didn't know there was hype behind it because it just seemed like it came out of nowhere for me.
It was one of the most hype animes of the I guess the season that was going on.
Was 2018 a light year for anime?
It kind of varies. I guess what you depend is what you like. Each year has been shitty for me or good for me.
What's been a good year?
2016 was a good year for me.
What was in 2016?
ReZero.
Okay.
Oh God, I think it's mainly due to the fact that that year in 2016 I had happened to watch a ton of anime, and I don't really know how to describe it. There are certain years where I've picked up a lot of anime, and there's certain years where I haven't picked up a lot of anime. And I think that's kind of what goes into it. I think Darling in the Franxx was on the topic of being the anime that was most hyped for that time and being so popular that I thought it was going to be good. And I think what I'm getting at here is that at the time I was like, oh shit, this is popular, this is good. And as I kept watching it, I realized that no, this is not a good anime. I'm not really into it. I stuck out in the end of it because I was 20 something episodes in. And I felt the need at this point in time that, oh shit, I have 5 episodes left. There's no point to drop this at this point in time. I might as well finish it. Yeah.
Can I, Scott and Shane? I have let's just get further off topic.
Sure.
Have you guys ever like rewatched an anime?
Oh, for sure, tons.
Okay, cool. Because
Yeah, I've rewatched a few, but in general, that's not really my style. Like
Okay.
once I know the plot of something, it's hard for me to go back and
I rewatch a
watch
lot.
it and still enjoy it.
Yeah, see, for me, not anime, but like I've rewatched like How I Met Your Mother and like New Girl and like a lot of like sitcom-y shows just because I like just that's just kind of who I am. 30 Rock is a big one I've watched a lot.
That's fair.
But yeah, I'm curious with like it seems like there's just so much coming out time again. I just
think
didn't
that
know.
in my opinion, the only animes that I'll really rewatch are things that I genuinely feel like are deep enough that I'll come back from that second viewing with a new outtake. Like I've rewatched Samurai Champloo a number of times, and
Okay.
every time I watch it, I come away with like kind of a new interpretation of a scene, or I'll find something in it that I didn't really see before, and that'll increase like my opinion of the show overall.
Yeah.
But if there's something that I feel like I absorbed everything on the first viewing, and it's like I have nothing to gain from rewatching it, then I won't even bother.
Scott, I'll give you a good example right now. So me and Scott are currently watching an anime that's not very popular. That Scott has like maybe two episodes to finish left of it. Boogie Pop.
Yeah.
Boogie Pop is an anime that's a bit more. So essentially, Mike, the way it's done is that they'll show multiple perspectives of one event,
Mm-hmm.
and people tend to shy away from it because the artistic value of it is a bit obscure to people. Like people tend to shy away from it because the artsiness of it takes away from the actual story of it, I guess.
Okay.
But recently I finished Boogie Pop, and I am one of in my Discord right now that I'm talking to about anime. There's only one other person in my Discord out of like 200 people that are watching it, and me and Scott personally loved it, and I finished it recently, and after watching it, I realized that it was.
The Kraken's getting to someone. I heard. I don't know.
That might have been me.
Okay.
I tried to get away from the mic, but
Anyway, so
Yeah, the microphone pointed straight at your stomach.
anyway, Boogie Pop was very good to me. But it was not.
What kind of anime is this?
It's essentially about like. Let me give you a brief definition of it. It's one of those animes that's very hard to describe, like Durara.
See, it seems like a puzzle game, like Boogie Pop. Like, oh, I got to match 3 in order to.
Essentially, there's a person named Boogie Pop who is.
That's their Christian given name, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But their whole goal in the series is that there's a ton of arcs where it involves that there's some type of monster or something that's supernatural involved in the universe, and they're a threat to the universe. Boogie Pop is a kind of a pillar to that like a pillar of light to that, and their goal is to appear and stop whoever is the threat to the universe.
Okay.
So the whole point of Boogie Pop is that there's a person named Boogie Pop who appears when there's in times of crisis against one person.
It's just like Link.
Kind of, not
Yeah.
really. Link sucks though.
Oh,
Link can never make it to the castle. My body is a temple of Legend of Zelda.
What are you quoting?
what?
Are you
Yeah,
okay?
I don't understand what's happening.
I'm quoting your memories from Tumblr.
Oh, okay.
My
yes,
body is
yeah.
a temple of
If
Legend
I
of
guess
Zelda.
people should know, I don't know when you post these, but we're recording this like 3 days after
Yeah.
April Fools, and Tumblr did some shitty joke where
Yeah, memories.
they went through memories. Yeah.
I love that so much, by the
Yeah,
way.
my body is a temple for Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, I'm
Sally
very happy.
sold slurs at the seashore. Uh-oh, sisters.
I think that was my favorite one.
Yeah. But go on. Tell me about Boogie Pop.
But I mean, that's
Oh, you know why I think it's a puzzle game? Honey Pop.
Boogie Pop, Honey Pop.
Yep.
Okay,
That's
fair.
why.
It's just
And,
like
and Poyo. And like Poyo.
it's
It's got a good...
yeah.
Yeah. Poyo's a puzzle game. I don't know what to tell
Yeah,
you.
I get what you
Okay,
mean.
cool.
I think the main thing is that Boogie Pop was very abstract for people to get, and it had it.
How long did it run for?
This is the first season it was aired.
Oh, okay.
It had a mindset that people were not really about to get.
Oh, they
and-
weren't ready for it.
No, they were not.
They got this new heat. This brand new heat that people just can't handle.
It had such a good soundtrack too, and I just don't get why people don't.
Yeah, soundtrack was fucking on
Soundtrack
point.
was amazing. The story, in my opinion, was very amazing, and I think it was definitely an anime that you needed to watch. There's a stupid thing that I always hate that people have talked about where people have the 3 episode rule, which I don't particularly agree with.
All right, tell me about this rule.
It's the rule that after you watch 3 episodes, if you're not particularly into it, you drop it.
Okay.
And Boogie Pop was not the anime. You needed to watch at least like an arc or two to really understand it. And I think people just dropped it because they're like, oh, I don't understand. This is stupid. Let's drop it. And I think a lot of the people the person who I did specifically talk to in my Discord who had watched it, hated the first arc, really liked the second arc, and then loved everything after that.
Yeah.
And I think it was just an anime that you needed to continue watching in order to like. And I mean, that sucks for some people that they're just like, oh, I'm 2-3 episodes in, I'm not that into it. But I'm just like, when you think about that as a whole, that's an hour of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not at a place where I would consider the 3-episode rule to be something that I follow. Like, I think that the shows that I like to watch, like, I will definitely dedicate more than that amount of time into deciding whether or not I really like it. But I think for the casual viewer, that rule of thumb is a kind of a good thing to go by if you're just like looking to intake anime at a very basic level. But
I guess it depends.
I spend a lot of time watching shows. Like, I can definitely dedicate more than 3 episodes to trying to find something I like about a show and a reason to watch it.
I guess it depends your ability to want to get into it, I guess.
Yeah, it's like pretty much if you're a filthy casual, like, sure, go for it.
Yeah, cool. Like,
but if you're like a real
Boogie Pop isn't gonna be your thing if you're just like, oh, I like tuning in for 3 episodes to see how it goes.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not how it goes.
That kind of reminds me. I've never got really deep into it, but my sibling got into Homestuck, and they've always described the first episode or the first chapter as eating cardboard.
I think it's funny because people describe Homestuck as being stuck in hell.
Yeah, but like, you know, obviously there's like a fervor around the fandom of Homestuck, and if the first chapter is eating cardboard, you know, getting past that and then becoming a true, like, it's such a diehard fan for it is really something different, and, or, you know, just like interesting. I'm kind of jumping ahead to another question just because I really want to answer this one. But do you guys think an anime can run too long?
So okay, here's an anime.
Did we do a good job answering that last one?
Kind of, yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, tight.
Who knows?
We did it.
I think that depending on what your experience, I think that certain animes are good if they're popular.
There's nothing wrong with it being popular, right? Like, just because everyone's talking about it, that's a good thing because you have other people also to communicate.
Obviously, popularity equals to the amount of viewers.
Sure.
Like, obviously, something that's popular. Obviously, people are watching it because it's popular.
Yeah.
And
there's got to be a reason.
Yeah. There's definitely some type of reason for watching it because it's popular, and I view that there's certain things that I like, and I believe it depends on your aspect of what you define as interesting. Also, just like, I mean, like, we're currently we're talking about how we're watching Shield Hero. Shield Hero is very popular. I don't hate or dislike Shield Hero. It's very neutral with me. But once again, it's popular, so I don't know about the popularity of it. I like it in some doses, but I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, I would say that popularity, it's like certain animes become popular for a reason, but in the end, it's important for you to form your own opinions about shows and to go with your gut and go out of your way to try to find shows that maybe aren't so popular that you might enjoy. It's all about developing your own personal tastes.
You know, there's a lot of like overlap with video game reviewers. Like, obviously, I wouldn't look to every single person who reviewed a certain game to give me what I want from it. I would find someone who reviews games that have a similar taste to me. Just because it's popular doesn't mean it would be something that I could relate to. I mean, Fortnite's super huge, and
Exactly.
I played a couple games of it, and I can understand the appeal, but it's not for me. But, you know, I find people who are like, I enjoyed this game because of these elements, and I also relate to those elements, so I probably will enjoy that. And I imagine that there is again, that carryover. Like, there's elements that fit.
For sure.
Yeah.
Moving on. This is kind of away from the order that I was planning on going in.
Oops, sorry.
But it's okay. But so another question that we kind of had for it was, would you prefer an anime that is So there's a difference. Would you prefer an anime that has 13 episodes or 500 episodes?
And 13 would be a half season, right? I mean, that's what it is in
depending on how it goes.
I
Okay.
mean, with a lot of anime, 12 episodes is like standard.
Okay, so like with television, like American television, like How I Met Your Mother or Scrubs, that would be considered a half season.
So let me say it in this term. So currently we're about to enter the summer anime or a spring anime. We were just done with winter anime. Think about this. So 12 episodes obviously equals to about 12 weeks.
Okay.
Equals a season, I guess. If you
fourth
were
of a year.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, a season in this part in time.
Yeah.
So like we just got done with winter anime. It's now moving.
How
on to
was
spring.
winter anime?
Winter
How
anime
were the
was
crops? The winter crops.
winter anime. Winter crops were good.
Okay.
I gotta say.
Have not finished harvesting the winter crops yet.
Okay. We have some crops to
I'm
harvest.
working on it.
All right.
Which I think it depends because
When's it busy?
what do you mean?
When's the busy season for anime? Like
I think it depends. Depends what the people who are putting out are putting out. Like
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of depends on what you're watching. Like, if you have a lot of shows that you want to keep up with for a certain season, you could end up watching, like, I don't know, like six shows a week or
Okay.
so. That's generally
Yeah,
what
it
we
sounds-
end up watching. Like, it depends on how much of a chore anime is for you at that point. And
It's
it
so-
does become a chore.
It's so interesting watch because I'm not a huge fan of any one thing, but I have my foot in a lot or my what's up? Should I not acknowledge you putting your headset down?
Yeah, it's best just to kind of keep talking.
Okay, cool. We won't. All right, Shane, have a good pee. I will take my turn after you.
Also, have a good edit.
Yeah, but it's very interesting to see how like anime and comics and television relate to each other.
Yeah.
Like you talk about like 6 anime or 6 shows that you're watching a given week, and that's like just kind of what you would have for your pull list at a comic shop. Like, oh, I have the new Batman and Iron Man, and I'm reading the current arc of Spider-Man and something like that. Like you can have up to like 6 or 7, or sometimes if it's fucking crazy, like
Right.
double digits, 10 or 12 pulls in
like-
your comics.
It's all about how much you as an individual can kind of take in
Yeah.
from that type of medium. Like, I don't know, at certain points it feels like keeping up with 6 or 7 shows is no problem.
Yeah.
Like when I'm really in a binging attitude, but at some points it's like even trying to keep track of 3 or 4 shows can be a challenge.
Right. I guess the busy season for television is usually fall. As fall is usually when you get like a lot of that's when the season finale kind of rounds off, I believe, and winter is kind of like a dead month
Yeah.
for a lot of that. Anyway, I'm gonna pee now.
I-
Sorry,
I am
I'm making your life difficult, Shane.
I am sorry to piss in the middle of this, and I am sorry for Mike to piss in the middle of all of this.
You know what the savage part is?
What?
I'm gonna have to go next.
Man, God, we should have all pissed in the beginning of this.
I mean, it's fine.
Um,
I'm sure the audience loves to hear about all of our bodily functions.
I
but
don't
Shane-
think they do want to.
Shan, what do you think about? What were we just talking? Like, what do you think about what's an average amount of anime for you to keep up with?
So here's what I was going to go with in the end of all this topic of 13 to 500 episodes is that I typically like anime that's around the range of 40 to 60 episodes, where it's you have a great base of this is what's good. Like this is like I have enough anime that I really like to watch this, and it's not a ton of anime where it's beginning to be repetitive and full of filler. Like once again, Durara is a very good example. Durara was 70 something episodes.
It's interesting that you bring that show up. I'm gonna touch on something here in a bit.
Okay, but that episode was that series was roughly 4 seasons, and each season being around 13 to 24 episodes long. And I think that for that season, it was good. I like things that are about 500 episodes just because like it's cool to have like stuff that keeps going. But
it gives you a lot of meat on that bone.
oh, for sure. But Mike, you were peeing for all this.
Hi, what's up?
But my general basis for this is that I typically prefer something that's about 60 to 70 episodes, just because it's enough meat on its bones where it's a lot to handle.
But you're not running into the fact that like hey, there's gonna be a lot of filler in this.
Exactly.
You're not gonna have to look up like a filler guide to be like,
Yes.
hey, just watch 3 minutes of this part so you can get the idea
like a little bit of it.
and skip to this episode.
There's enough of it that it transfers into something that I like, and I don't have to keep like adamantly looking for stuff to skip. But like all the story is important, as well as it being kind of long. That's where Durara, which is up here, which is something that I personally go for because it's around the length that I want to go to without it being entirely too long, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
So my question was, do you think an anime can go on for too long?
Not really, no. I mean, it depends. I guess. I mean, once again, it depends the story, I guess.
So I guess the things that I would point to is I particularly don't have any fondness towards Boruto or Dragon Ball Z Super.
Boruto?
Is it what? How do you say it?
Boruto.
Okay, cool. All right, Mr. Anime, teach me how to Dougie. All right. But like I Dragon Ball Z is probably like the thing that I can point to being the most recent thing I've watched, just because I kind of did a little bit of a rewatch, and I definitely feel like it's kind of lost its plot after the Cell Saga.
I think that goes for a lot of shonen anime, though, in general.
Yeah, you can only get so strong. Kind of like that vibe.
I don't know. I don't know nothing about
you
DBZ,
can only,
to be honest, but
I will just say, and I'm clearly like echoing other people's thoughts with this, so this is nothing truly original, so I'll keep it short. But a lot of like what's good about Dragon Ball Z is the story of Gohan. Gohan turned into went from a reactive character. The story is happening to him. He's not coming to the challenge. He's not changing the story. Things are happening to this child. And near the end, from the Saiyan saga, when the Saiyans came to Earth, Vegeta and Nappa, to the Cell saga, Gohan had this whole arc where he became a reactive protagonist to a active protagonist, and he became someone who changed the outcome of things.
Is Gohan the technically main character?
In a perfect world, I would say yes, but.
Okay, who is the original child in Dragon Ball?
In Dragon Ball, that was Goku.
So is Goku the main character?
Goku is the main character of Dragon Ball, and I would also say Dragon Ball Z because they just keep going back to him. He's just the character that I guess he's an active character. He can come in and he wants to fight and he wants to change things. Whereas Gohan, he's very much, if anyone plays World of Warcraft, he's very much the Jaina Proudmoore of characers.
I totally get what you're talking about, too.
All Gohan wanted to do was study. He just wanted to be a scholar. And, his father, his father's brother, his uncle came down and killed his dad.
Wait. Okay, in the sense of all this, I'll say this. I don't know fucking shit about DBZ.
All right, let's get into it. So,
is Gohan the child of Goku?
Gohan is the child of Goku. He's a half Saiyan.
It's so fucking weird to me, just because, like, they started out later on of, like what's happening right now with Gohan is essentially what's happening with Boruto.
Yeah.
Where you're having the child of this massive person who is the protagonist be a main character. But
sure, I mean, I don't think Gohan ever had the spotlight directly on him.
That's the weird part about DBZ, is just because I know in Boruto and Naruto, obviously the fucking title of the series is the main character.
Yeah.
Which Dragon Ball Z does not have that. Oh, cool, you watch Naruto? Is the main character Naruto?
It's funny because, like, current day Dragon Ball Z, like Dragon Ball Z Super, they don't give a fuck all about the Dragon Balls. They could care less. Like,
so what's even the point then?
I mean, it's all about, it's Beerus, the fucking god of destruction, and it's a whole thing.
Like, what is Brawly then?
So Brawly, fun thing about Brawly is that Brawly's actually now canon It's the first time.
Did they make that canon?
A lot of the movies aren't canon.
I've heard that.
Yeah, I believe the two that I know of is Resurrection F is when Frieza came back, and then the Brawley movie that just came out in 2018.
What was the original question?
Oh
no, we were just talking about. I don't even remember at this point in time.
Can a movie or can a well, the original question that the listener wrote in was 13 or 500 episodes. What do you prefer? But like I'm asking, like, can an anime go on too long? And like, see, the thing I look to is like One Piece. Like One Piece got horny. I don't know if you noticed that, but like the anime or God,
the animation style,
not the animation style, but the autonomy of like the women are just like
okay.
hourglass.
No, I totally get what you mean, but yeah, One Piece did get horny.
Yeah, it got horny, and it turned characters who are like just like strong females into just
I think
like
anime in general is just kind of horny.
Okay, I mean,
like once again, we were talking about how I just recently watched what is it? Dungeon? Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
Yeah, that one chick.
Is it wrong? Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? Is essentially about like a character who is in an RPG format. The entire series is horny, and like it got so horny to a point where there were certain points where I felt uncomfortable by it because
so many. I feel like
I also just felt uncomfortable by it because there's a part where he saves a woman where he says, "Why did you?" Like the woman asks, "Why did you save me?" And he answers, "Because you're a woman."
Pinky, like pinky got hard when I looked at you.
Like he pretty much says, like, "Hey, I keep saving women because they're women."
Yeah, harem, baby.
That's where I was just like, that's kind of bad. But
is there a name for like a gender neutral harem? Because is it like a?
It's still a harem.
Okay.
It's still anything involving one guy.
It's a harem of. And then blank, like harem of men, harem of women.
I guess, yeah.
Harem of.
Oh no, there's a harem which is.
See, I know Naruto's power is reverse harem no jutsu.
So it's really funny that you bring that up because a harem is a series where it involves a guy with multiple girls. A reverse harem is a series which involves a girl with multiple guys.
Okay, so we're talking about tropes again then.
Yes, exactly. Anime all dates back to fucking tropes in the sense of it.
I mean, tropes are important because it even for Western stuff, because it allows you to either lean into them or play with expectations.
See, that's what's so weird about anime to me, just because I hate to say, like, let me get into the next question of all this is
did we answer? I prefer 13. I don't know if I said this. I want something that's kind of in and out, lean and mean. If I want more, there's always like fan art, and fan.
I prefer
fan
a mid. I prefer either a mid. I feel like it doesn't matter to me at this point in time. If it's a good series, I'll continue watching it no matter how long it is.
My preference is to have a longer show, because there are a very few anime that have left a hole in my soul that is the reason why I continue to watch anime, to try to fill that gap. So I'd rather watch an episode that I'm very endeared to for way too many episodes than to only watch a series for 13 episodes and then feel that hole like consistent in my chest. Like the hole after watching like Samurai Champloo or Durarara, every anime I've watched since is just trying to fill that gap. So I'd much rather that an anime that I love go on for way too long. Yeah, exactly.
I feel that because I have two examples, and one of them is a game, a Japanese game called 999, 9 hours, 9 people, 9 doors.
I've never heard of that before.
It's a novelization kind of like puzzle game. I super recommend it. It plays with some like really fun tropes. It's on the DS, and it has some fun with like it's like it's a little meta with what it does, but that game kind of ended, and I was just like left with myself, just like in a dark room, just like, what do I do now? Who am I after playing this game? And
you find yourself like watching YouTube videos about like fan theories.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. And luckily that game had more that had sequels to it. I think at one point it was called Virtue's Last Reward. But I desperately love that game so much. It's I had another example. The Star Wars Clone Saga.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me about this a while ago.
And that is the thing that made me love Star Wars. It's not the prequels, it's not the sequels, or not it's not the original trilogy. It is that. It is a very well written. It kind of like finds itself after the first season. At the first season, kind of like I don't think any show has a good first season. That's like my kind of rule of thumb.
I think it varies. I think anime is a very big thing where it's like in anime. I think having a good first season very much depends on how many people are going to watch it for you.
There is one Western show that I say has the best first season.
What would that be?
Psych. The show on
Ah.
I think that show has a amazing first season, and
I did very much enjoy that show.
Yeah.
One of the few live action things that I've actually watched.
I
Yeah,
think you're talking to two people that don't really watch that much live action
that's
stuff.
fine. But I think that a lot of times it like I don't know, Western live action stuff is so weird because it's literally like the. Here's a good example. If anyone listening has the time to do this, watch the first the pilot episode of How I Met Your Mother, and then watch the rest of it because it is so different. There is a very stark contrast between it because Barney is like a caricature of himself.
It's so
pilot.
weird to think about it that way, just because in that sense, I guess it's in the point where they didn't know what they were going to write originally.
Yeah, they're pretty much trying to get something out the door. They're trying to get something that can get greenlit.
And that's what I like about anime is the fact that anime, for the most part, is wrote.
It usually has a
very
source, right?
far ahead.
It usually has like something like, "Hey, we're sourcing this material,
Yes.
and we're
exactly manga and light novels."
But there is something to say about how I feel like a lot of complaints that come in about anime have to do with how accurate they are to the manga or not. I mean, it's like
I get that, but it's also like when you're watching an adaptation for anything movie related don't you want it to be the way you thought it was going to be?
I guess so. I mean, I guess it depends on whether or not I was actually a fan of the original series and what I think of how they adapt it.
I guess it's also this format for me is that if I'm comparing this to anything, that the best comparison I have is to like Avengers movies.
Yeah.
And like so I really like Civil War, the original Civil War for Avengers. And
yeah, but so much of that is like the powder keg of that is mutants, right? Like the first thing that happens is a mutant like explosion or yeah.
I'm just saying like there's a point.
And sorry, but like Marvel doesn't have the rights to say the word mutant, so they had to change it completely. Yeah,
that's the point where I'm saying is that like it's weird to see. Don't get me wrong, I'm cool to see stuff that is done in obviously the correct way and the way that it was originally made in the book or the manga or whatever I made it. But I'm also happy to see stuff that's a little bit outside of where I'm expecting to go, just because it gives me a better. It gives me a different perspective of what I imagined things to be in, and that's where I really like where anime goes, is because anime gets picked up by studios, which studios transfer things into things that either I'm very fond of or very not fond of, and that's where I think a lot of the things that I read go to, and I think it just depends on the stylistic choice of it. Like I really like Tokyo Ghoul, but like the second season of Tokyo Ghoul was an entirely different thing from the manga.
I would also nominate Bleach as one that.
Oh, Bleach is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of like the first arc of Bleach because it's basically like this high schooler that's fighting a monster of the week that turns into, hey, I'm in the spirit realm and my dad's a bastard or some shit. Like,
that's exactly how it is.
Yeah,
though.
Like it seems just like, hey, this is really popular. Like it's gonna get changed up. Before I feel like we're rounding off what we're gonna say. Another great example of something Western. New Girl literally starts with a one of the main characters is replaced in the second episode, and they have to explain why that is, because in the pilot it's just so different versus what they actually saw.
I feel like I've almost seen something like that in anime also, where they've had to almost explain that this isn't really the thing of it now. Now we've kind of moved on to a different thing. I guess you kind of have to accept it. And I mean, not necessarily that I'm against that, but that's kind of what they've done with most things that are shonen, where they've moved on to a character or a new series where it's about this character as the protagonist, and you kind of have to be like, okay, I guess this is how it goes now. Like people who watch Boruto.
I mean, they got to get their money somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the end of it, I think it honestly depends on what you want to do with your time watching anime.
Yeah.
Actually, I think we can transition here into Shan. I don't know if you wanted to talk about any of the other questions that we've got in.
So the next question that I wanted to really get into, that we're over the time period that I expected us to go.
Yeah, which is why I'm trying to move into the. I want to talk about why anime in and of it, why anime is good as a format, and why like some of the tropes that anime has as opposed to just animation. So and, like why it's a different.
So let me get into a weird topic here. So recently, my brother.
Yes.
So if you guys didn't know, there's the new show on Netflix called Love, Death and Robots, which is entirely animated. My brother came down to me while I was playing a game or watching something. I don't really remember what I was doing, but anime is a big aspect of my life, so I was probably doing something about that.
You're probably playing Tracer.
I was probably in Overwatch, to be honest. Mike's probably more spot on, to be honest. But he came down to me and he was like, "Hey, so I saw this show recently that was animated, and I totally thought you'd be interested in it." And my first thought about that was, okay, so you just think that something that's animated is something that I'm immediately interested in. And that kind of offended me in a way, because I mean, I love anime as a format because I just like the way it goes, but I don't think that you should say that just because this is animated, you're probably going to be into it. And just because he almost made it seem like anime was an adventure to him. Like watching something that was animated was like,
yeah, like it's so bizarre.
Yeah, like this is so bizarre. You're definitely into it, but it's just like animation in general in anime is just, it's a format that people watch, and I personally just find it better because I think there's more things you can do with it, special effects wise.
Yeah, and this is something that we've talked about a little bit before, is how the part of the whole reason that we like anime is that animation as a format can create a lot of cool ideas and kind of
better opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. You can make a more cohesive vision for something that's more fantastical when you use animation. For
sure. Like CGI gets overused, and sometimes CGI looks kind of bad. And
especially if you have established that, like, hey, these are real people and this is what the real life looks like, and then suddenly you try to do CGI that's maybe not up to the par of looking as realistic. If it's a constant all the way through, it's a little different. You can get away with more.
I think Japan also just doesn't have that good of CGI as I guess us in America do. And I'll say this: whenever I watch anything live action that's in Japan, that's from an anime, it's not good.
How was that live action Death Note?
Oh,
it was so.
Depends. Yeah. I love.
Oh, like the diapers.
Like so.
Would I recommend it? No. Would I tell you to watch it? No. Is it fine?
So Mike.
Yeah. What's up, Jake?
Maybe.
You like that joke?
I did.
I didn't even get it. What?
There's a brand called Depends. That's really the joke.
I'm very happy I caught that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll say this. So.
Yep, it's a drinking podcast, y'all.
Okay. Okay, y'all.
It's just like that circus fire.
Woo!
It's intense.
So I'll say this. So. For me, as a person who watches the Death Note anime, I will say that I liked certain aspects of it, and the fact that I really liked the person who played Light. I really liked the person who played Ryuk because it was fucking what's his name? God, what is his name? The guy who played Green Goblin in the original Spider-Man.
Danny DeVito.
That is
no,
not right at all.
That's who that is.
God, who is it?
I wish it would have been Danny DeVito. Would have made such a different movie.
His name is God.
Insert name here.
My God, at this point in time, I feel the need to just look it up.
What has he done before?
It's so weird.
He's in like Too Human too.
It's just so weird to me to think about his name just because I fucking know it because
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe is exactly who it is.
Yeah,
Willem
and Jake
Dafoe.
can attest. I did not look that up. I just
Willem,
pulled that from the annals
you
of my brain.
really did. I was about to look it up too. Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe did a very good job. I think that the guy who played Light did a very good job. I don't really know his name, or I'm not as familiar with him as Willem Dafoe.
You mean it's not Light, isn't it? Like Tim Light or
I mean,
Tim Turner or something?
not Light. L.
Okay.
The guy who played Light was not Nat. One of the Wolf brothers who's in Naked Brothers Man.
Okay. What?
Oh my god, I haven't thought about that in ages.
Do you remember the Naked Brothers Man, Mike?
See, when I think of Naked Brothers, I think of Jake and Josh. So I don't know why. I think it's because they dress similar.
It's around that time period too. But
Light, where's the Death Note? It's right over here. Yeah, go get it.
I'm so happy that we talked about at some point in time where's the door hole?
Hey, Drake, where's the door?
Hey, Drake, where's the Death Note?
Where's the door?
God damn it. Okay. Anime as a format.
Death Note
anime.
by Drake and Josh.
So this is why I really like Mike for this because Mike has so far made us very we've had good anime discussions as well as just fucking stupid conversations. So it's very perfect. But I'll say that I don't think you should consider anime as something that's like, oh, this is an adventure. I think that you should just enjoy the media, and this just happens to be the way it's presented. And if you like the story, then why does it matter if it's anime?
Yeah, I do think it's very strange that anime is considered its own genre a lot of times when there are various genres within anime. But I do kind of also understand from the perspective of a lot of Westerners, there are things that seem very weird about anime specifically because it is a Japanese animation. But so a lot of the cultural differences has to do with things that make sense in Japan and that are relevant to their culture versus things that are
But think about something that's like Cowboy Bebop. That has nothing to do with that has more to do with Western culture than it does Japanese culture. So that makes no sense. I'm just saying that it depends the format and it depends the animation.
But
and it depends
also
oh, go on, Scott.
Thanks. But I feel like also a lot of Westerners are more likely to watch anime like Cowboy Bebop that don't have as much to do with the culture in Japan because it's easier for them to grasp. Like, how many people do you know that have seen Cowboy Bebop that haven't watched anything currently airing in the past like 5 years? You see what I mean?
Yeah, the people that would say, yeah, I watch Cowboy Bebop, but I don't like anime. Like that's a very I watch Gundam Wing, but I don't like anime. And there's also a level of what can break through the mold. A lot of people probably say oh, I watched all of the original Pokemon.
I guess you're right,
but I don't watch anime. It's honey, let me tell you, Pokemon's anime. It's kind of the most anime there is.
Yeah, no kidding. It's baffling to me that people will shut off a topic just because of culture or whatever it is that you're into. And I just think that if you're personally invested in anything at all pop culture wise, there's an anime for pretty much anything you can desire.
It really is. It's astounding how do you want anime about 4 girls who are developing video games?
Yeah,
I have a slice of life anime for you.
Don't get me wrong, I got this for you. And that's the thing about it is just
New Game Plus.
I think that there's an anime for everybody, and I don't think you should specifically shun it just because it's anime. And I don't know, certain things piss me off that I was going to get into the next topic, which I'll get into now. Is just
bring it out.
I hate when people are like, "Oh my god, you don't want to do that because that's weeb and I'm just like, no, you're buying fucking Pocky sticks. That's not weeb like.
Oh my god, what is the weeb life and how does one establish?
There's not weeb life. It's just people assume that weeb life is Japan.
This is just kind of extends to cringe culture,
kind of cringe culture racism.
I mean, yeah, definitely that second part, but cringe culture isn't it's just what you like.
Yeah, for sure.
And don't hate on people who like that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. Also, like, Pocky's not like it's similar to how Kit Kat is, isn't it? Like, Kit Kat is in Japan is not Kit Kat in the USA. Kit Kat in Japan is basically like licensing that brand. Is it not?
It's also like, why does the sudden change of packaging make you think like, oh, this is weird and out of bounds for me?
It's got the fucking characters you don't understand, and apparently like it's illegal for you to like it. I guess I don't know.
It upsets me when people don't want to branch out for things like candy. God damn it! Like, I don't know, even like shows. Like, it's just. I just personally think that if you're going to watch anything, it bothers me when people pull up anime and they're like, "Oh my god, you watch anime? You're weird."
Yeah, like it's just a format to watch.
Like, if anything,
various types of genres.
And at this point in time, what does it matter? Because, like, for example, I really like the anime. It's not an anime; it's an anime movie, I guess, which is actually obviously anime. But Your Name. Your Name right now is currently trying to be remade by the person who made the current Star Wars movies. I forgot what his name is.
Why?
J.J. Abrams?
J.J. Abrams is currently doing the Your Name version of the American version of Your Name.
That's wild.
That just hurt my soul.
Oh, it hurt.
I remember hearing about it earlier, and I had totally forgotten. But
I'll say this: it hurts my soul.
Back.
It hurts my soul, and I hate to see that people are being Americanized by it. Just because I think the Japanese culture part. First of all, that movie is very much a Japanese culture thing. Like, you have to know Japanese culture to be in that
that's
movie.
what I'm talking about. It's like that's why so much of this shit comes off as being weird to people in where we are, because to them it's like a whole nother culture and they don't want to take the time to try to understand it. So they're just gonna make their new American version so that people like us understand.
In small defense of J.J. Abrams, I think he only actually did episode 7 of the Star Wars movie, and he also did the Star Trek movie. I have a certain appreciation of J.J. Abrams that he can kind of capture that essence of what it was. The Star Trek movie in particular felt like watching an episode of Star Trek. It felt like it was pulling straight from the source material. I have no idea what it's going to look like when he tries to do something that's from, a completely different culture. But I really did like that movie, and then also episode 7.
I'll say this:
how are they going to format this new
Scott? Let me pause you right there. So,
okay,
I understand it in the format of. So, from what you've described to me so far, Mike, is that everything that you've said is kind of a bit westernized.
Sure.
I don't get how they're going to do Your Name specifically, because Your Name is the entire plot of it relies on the fact that it's Japanese.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't want to like debunk J.J. Abrams' ability.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not so shitty on it, but I heard the synopsis for it so far, and it's about a guy who lives in Chicago, and it's about a woman who lives in some type of rural area up in the north. And
either way, I'm excited to see it.
Hey,
but I can either shit on it and tear it apart, or I'll like it.
But the entire plot of it that goes on in Your Name is there's a specific notion that is based off of if you don't know about oh god, I forgot the actual religion of it. But there's essentially why can I not remember that?
That's like the whole Red String of Fate thing, or are you talking about a whole different thing?
No, hang on. I'm gonna get into this in just a second.
A quick Google search later.
I don't know why I'm forgetting this, because it's a big thing. Shinto. So
okay.
There's the religion in Japan called Shinto.
Okay.
And the entirety of Your Name relies on the religion of Shinto. And Shinto essentially means that you there's a whole religion about how you, like, your own family has your own god, and how certain things in
sounds like similar to Mulan, how like they have
kind of
like their own like personal family pantheon of like
that's exactly how it is.
Okay.
Though. And in the movie there's a part where they take this she makes her own sake and like spits in a cup, and that transfers into some type of offering for her god, and they put it into this tree, and then that creates like a whole panel of what goes on in the story, a big part of it. And I just don't get how they're possibly going to
it's so far removed from the source that like there's just nothing to like no clever allegory, nothing to like.
You would need the Shinto religion in order
Yeah.
for this to be even successful at all, and I don't get how they're going to possibly do that.
If you guys want something to watch Fringe. It still holds up. J.J. Abrams directed that too.
Wait, Fringe?
Fringe, yeah.
No shit, really?
Yeah, I love Fringe so much.
Huh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
It's a very good monster of the week.
I think it's just basically to the part that I really like and respect Japanese culture, and I feel like by making it Americanized, you lose a huge bit of the story.
Yeah.
And in that specific story for Your Name, I don't think that there's any way to do it outside of that, because the entire story has to do with Shinto, and as well as just like, so braided cords is a big aspect of things. Braided cords is a big Japanese thing. It's part of their culture as well as just like ceremonial aspects of things.
Okay.
It makes a big part of the story, and I just don't get how they're going to possibly make that American.
It just feels like a Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Evolution all over again.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't know this.
That's the Western version of Dragon Ball, the live action Dragon Ball Z.
Oh no shit.
Oh,
Okay.
Jesus
yeah, it's called
Christ.
Dragon
Oh,
Ball Z
God.
Evolution.
Okay, I do know what you're talking about.
I have seen that pile of trash.
Okay.
I mean, it depends, because that's a different story here, because I don't believe that that's necessarily like, oh, this is entirely Japanese or Chinese or whatever the culture is.
I
Also-
don't trust any American studio or director or producer to do justice to an anime.
I mean,
I'm just gonna get that out there.
You really gotta, if I will, if anyone's out there trying to do a Dragon Ball Z live action, you really gotta lean into that Monkey King aspect of Goku, because that's what Dragon Ball was. So
I think it's like this also, is that like, I mean, I will say that first of all, for a very prime example, I never thought that The Grudge would be something that was very well Americanized. If anybody's into horror.
Don't know what that is.
The Grudge movie.
It's a movie, yeah.
It's a horror movie. The Grudge was originally a Japanese movie that was transferred into
Really?
some of those American.
I didn't know that part.
I mean,
thought
not
it was-
really Americanized, but it was still Japanese, I guess. They still did
okay.
it. No, they just did it in a way that was more American directed.
What about Elevator?
I don't know.
That's God, what's his name? He does the Transformer movies. Michael Bay. That's a Michael Bay joint.
No shit.
Yeah,
No
Elevator.
kidding.
I mean, this is getting recorded for prosperity, so I hope I'm right, but I'm pretty sure.
I can't wait to look back at this and be like, Mike, you fucking dumbass.
Yeah. I don't know, man. This Kraken got under me. I'm not like the just getting away from anime and just talking about drinking. I don't drink a whole lot, so
It's really great to hear this, is because first of all, for those who don't know, like Mike, I haven't seen Mike drunk that much, so at all, for
yeah.
example. So this is very much a new experience for me as well.
first time meeting Scott, and
Yeah, he's
it's-
never even met Scott prior
Yeah.
to this.
It's been good.
I think that we've done a good job for this podcast.
Yeah.
though.
Okay.
But from what I've say though, I mean, I think obviously things depend.
Like
From
the diapers.
our person depends. From my personal. God damn it! From my
I used to work at Walgreens, so I'm very intimate with adult diapers.
From my personal experience, I think that Mike has done a great job with his Depends.
And recommending them to my incontinent grandfather.
Yeah, please, if you are in need, Walgreens
It's very strange just
on
because
the corner of healthy and happiness.
So fuck you.
Be well.
So fuck Mike. But
Man, I've got some horror stories I can tell from Walgreens. It's
Man.
fucking.
I will say
We'll make that a whole nother podcast.
Okay, cool.
Mike's horror
Is there-
stories.
Is there? I mean, I know there's retail and there's the one about the guy, the skeleton guy, retail anime.
skeleton. Oh, Skullface.
Honda, yeah.
Honda-kun. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We watched the last season actually.
Is there any other? The only other anime retail I've seen was the Digimon movie, where it's just like your total is $11,373.
I actually it's funny you say that, just because there's been a few animes I've watched where there happen to be definitely like little slight retail elements in it where
Yeah.
like there's an anime.
You gotta get your add-on numbers up.
Did you,
Naruto, you're not selling enough.
no, you're not selling enough at all. No, did you ever hear about fuck, what is it called? It was about that woman who was really into candy. She had like the Dagashi Kashi.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So Dagashi Kashi was an anime about a candy shop, and it was about how what sells and what doesn't in Candyland.
Oh, just like
weird.
that Usher song.
That's a weird show.
not that
I don't think that
song.
was Usher. I think that was 50 Cent.
But
Curtis Jackson.
I will say that now at this point in time, I have watched a good amount of anime that does relevant to something that is retail wise, which I guess pertains to me because I work in retail. But in the end of things,
There's an anime for everything.
there isn't. That's what I'm saying. In the end of
I
things,
just want everyone to know it is 50 Cent that sings Candy Shop.
okay,
Okay.
thank you,
I looked it
Mike.
up.
I
I'm
never
very
would have
happy.
needed to know that.
So in the end of things,
I'm a huge fan of Curtis Jackson. I don't know what to say.
so Mike sucks. and
Yeah.
isn't Curtis Jackson.
I'm never invited back.
Mike.
No, I want to have a small thing about One Punch Man and why I really appreciate it. And it's
Mike, that's the thing that's cool about this podcast is that I was expecting us to get a lot more into One Punch Man because that's what you're really into,
yeah.
but we didn't actually touch on it at all.
Well, hey, I'm
We
gonna
all
touch
know
on it
why
now.
One Punch Man is very great. But continue.
But the last episode is such a good example of like playing with expectations. We talked a little bit about tropes, but like you know that moment when the intro song is playing during the actual episode,
They always do that in anime.
and
Yeah.
especially, and I feel like in shonen, right? Like
Yeah,
that's-
for sure.
Yeah, and it was not. It didn't have that rewarding feeling like, oh, this is the moment we've been building up to. Because if you guys remember that when it's playing the intro or the main theme, Satsuma's getting his ass. He's not retaliating. He's just letting himself get beat, and there's no reward to it. And that is why I love One Punch Man, is because it's such a like a change of pace of what that genre is. He's the Bugs Bunny of shonen anime. He comes in and he's as strong as he needs to be in order for it to be funny. And
Fair.
I will get into Mob Psycho because I mean obviously it's one
Definitely a good anime.
yeah
Good series in general.
I hope season 2 of One Punch Man, or as I call him, Singular Strike Sir, the SSS, will pay off. But yeah, that's the thing I want to say. It's just, man, what a good last episode that was.
I think you're in for a lot because that starts in literally 5 days.
Yeah. Oh boy.
But it's cool to have one stuff that goes back to back. I'm not as into One Punch Man as I am Mob Psycho.
Or as in the One Punch Man universe, Mabu Psycho 1 million.
Yes, exactly. But in the end of all this, it was to wrap up this podcast. It's great to have Mike on part of this, is because it's cool because you don't watch a lot of anime, yet you had so much to contribute for this.
Hey, thanks. I try.
I hope to have you back, Mike.
Yeah. Hopefully this episode goes well and people are like, yeah, we don't hate him.
Mike.
We really like his Depends jokes.
I fucking hate this guy.
He talks about diapers all the time. What a weirdo.
But I think we'll have a lot more to say possibly next time, especially if Mike joins us possibly for what could be our next podcast, I guess.
Oh yeah. We
but-
guys do this monthly?
Yeah, we do this monthly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So you got
plenty of time to put your feedback in.
You gotta
let us
fucking-
know.
You got a fucking Mike.
Does Mike stay or go?
Does Mike stay? Mike's out.
Does Mike get executed at the end of this?
Let's make a poll.
Yeah.
We have a Twitter, right?
Does Mike?
It's just gun emoji or the praying emoji.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But
But it's the water gun. God damn you, Apple. Come on.
But in the end of all this,
Let me have my
Apple's a
gun.
bunch of pussies.
Yeah,
They
come
can't-
on.
Yeah.
You're fucking right. So in the end of all this,
Damn you, Steve Jobs from Beyond the Grave. I'm
That-
not gonna let Shane finish this, this
to-
extra.
to wrap up my
I hope
God.
Steve Jobs got isekai'd into another world.
His
Steve Jobs for sure got reincarnated.
He
as
looks
a
like
slime.
he gets cucked in that turtleneck.
I fucking hate both of you.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, Shane. I'm gonna interrupt you because there was.
What was Steve Jobs like? What would his stand be?
I don't fucking care.
I
So,
haven't even watched.
I need to tell this story because I need this to get out to the world.
Okay.
But there was the day when Steve Jobs died, or I guess it might have been afterwards, but it was on the news, and it was in this like weird grocery shop or like in a place where you would have the television playing, and they were announcing his death, and someone goes, "Oh man, Steve died." And just, I don't know how you could be on the first name basis with Steve Jobs. Like, I've never referred to him as Steve. Oh, it's Steven Jobs.
It's me, Barnold.
But, it's me, Barnold.
Oh my God, we're not gonna get into this.
I can't
End the show.
I can't explain that. But, like, how are you on the first name basis with Steve Jobs, but you don't know that he died? I just really want to know, what was that person, what was their life?
You know, I'm like that with a lot of anime.
Oh, Steven. Oh, damn.
Oh, Naruto.
Oh.
I've always been on a first name basis with Naruto because that's the way the show
Well,
is
we've
written.
known him since he was a 12-year-old boy.
What's Obama's last name?
I think it's
In this shit.
I
Barack.
think it's that's not right at all.
I love this so much. Anyway,
Naruto Barack Obama.
End this. God damn it.
To wrap up this podcast, I just want to thank Elaine for our intro graphics, and I want to thank Trifex for our intro and outro music. Thank you so much. All the
Thanks, guys.
all the links to send me questions or anything will be in the description. Please smash that subscribe.
Smash.
Oh, and thank Mike for being a producer.
Oh, thank our producer Mike. Our producer Mike, who provided all this stuff for us. Even though right now we finally have a mic of our own.
Yeah, third microphone.
Ooh.
Yeah, we have a mic and a mic of our own.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that we have.
We have
Mike that
two
provided-
mics of our own.
4 mics.
Mike, you're never leaving.
Mike squared.
I think it's funny that we have Mike that provided the mics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we talked about this earlier. Mike's.
Yeah, Mike's.
This is all right. We could end this. I'll tell you off air. But I genuinely wanted to like create like a podcast studio and like rent it out to people.
No shit.
Yeah, like as a side business. But
Um,
anyway, end this shit, dude. I'm shutting up.
Okay.
I gotta pee again.
Yeah.
Anyway, we all gotta pee. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will be here about next month next time. So see you next time. Make sure to send us questions. Anything you have for ideas.
What's that email? You got an email?
Yeah, we have a
How
taku.
did it hit you up?
I think it's funny because we have a otakushotglass because we never got the email for a taku shot. So
It's fine. It's fine. If it's a motif, just fine. We'll get it.
otakushotglass@gmail.com. Please send us questions. Please send us questions on my Tumblr at @tumblr.com. I'm just gonna fucking mumble this. You'll see everything in the goddamn description.
We're big drinking.
you'll get
we
it,
can't
yeah.
help it.
Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye. We out.